Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this exciting webinar on how to write a winning SOP. I am Arushi Sharma, and I'll be your co-host alongside Mr. Jahan. We are thrilled to have you here as we dive into the key strategies for crafting an impactful statement of purpose, a critical step in your scholarship or university applications. Throughout the session, we'll be covering everything from structuring your SOP to showcasing your unique strengths and avoiding common mistakes. We'll also have time for a Q&A session in the end, so feel free to jot down your questions you have, and let us get started to make the most of this time together. Now I'll hand over and go forward with Mr. Jahan, who is from Scholars Box. He'll be the one who'll be guiding us through it. Thank you. Thank you, Jahan, for coming in today. The stage is all yours.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all from wherever you are joining. I hope you can see me and I hope I am audible. If I can get a reaction, or if I can get a reaction, that would be wonderful. Or just let me know in the chat if it's all good from my end to make sure there are no network issues. Good evening, sir. Okay, thank you, Kavi Bharati. All right. Okay, I'm getting one more response, which means, okay, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me clearly. Just give me a thumbs up and we can slowly move into the session. Okay, I see a thumbs up. Thank you very much, Purnima. Okay, so welcoming all of you to the very first webinar from Scholars Box, where we help you level up your scholarship game. All right, so loving the enthusiasm, loving the crowd over here. Thank you very much for joining. Yes, loving it. Let's go. Let's move into the session. We'll go straight into it. I'll just share my screen. Okay. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen, and we will continue with the session. All good? So, how to write a compelling statement of purpose. So I'm sure each and every one of you is eager to know more about why an SOP is so important, areas to focus. So as we move on, let's focus on the first part, which would be understanding the purpose of an SOP. All right, let's tackle the first question. What is an SOP? So a statement of purpose is a personal essay, and students normally submit it as part of their applications to universities for scholarships or various other programs. It is a written narrative where you present your goals, your motivation, and your suitability for a program. So the whole point is this shows way beyond your academics, who you are beyond your academics, because once you submit your mark lists, once you submit all your necessary documents, every scholarship committee knows your marks, knows how you perform academically. But who you are beyond that, that shines through from your SOP, from your statement of purpose. So, what is an SOP? In short, a personal statement outlining your goals, motivations, and suitability for a scholarship program. Why is it important? Okay, so this is where a lot of students might find it. They might ask themselves this question: why an SOP? Why is it so important? First of all, it showcases your individuality. Beyond grades, like I had mentioned before, beyond grades, the SOP gives the committee a deeper understanding of your personality, your character, your ambitions, and all of it depends on what you have in the SOP. which we will go into in detail in a little bit. It shows your alignment. It shows your alignment towards the scholarship or towards the program that you are applying. And it also highlights achievements. It gives a chance for you to talk about unique achievements where you might not have mentioned before. So, why is it important? It serves as a medium to showcase who you are beyond grades and test scores. In brief, that's how we can explain it. Key focus shows how your background, aspirations, and experiences align with the scholarship and objectives. So, key areas to focus. Like it said, it shows your background, your aspirations, what you want to be in the future, whether your experiences align with a scholarship, because every scholarship committee is looking for qualities that you would have, whether your aspirations are in line with what they are looking for with a student or for anyone who is applying for a program or a scholarship. In our case, a scholarship. So moving on, for all of this, you need to structure your SOP effectively. So a strong, engaging opening, ideally, like an SOP would have an introduction, a body, and then would have a conclusion. If you move here, I will actually take you through a rough SOP just to give you an idea of how we can structure it. Introduction. Introductions are very, very important. So in an introduction, you start with a strong opening that grabs the reader's attention. You can use a quote, you can even use a personal story, or even a fact related to the field of interest or the field that this scholarship focuses on. Next, introduce yourself. You can introduce yourself by mentioning your current academic or professional standing, what you're doing right now. You can also mention that. Following which, the body is another important aspect. So introductions start with a strong opening that captures attention. Briefly introduce yourself and the academic or professional interests. Next, if we move into the body, you can mention your academic background and interests, career goals, alignment with the scholarship. It depends on how much information you want to include in an SOP, because an SOP has different word limits. So depending on that, you can structure it accordingly. But introduction, body, conclusion, very important. So let's start step by step. If we take your academic background and interests, you can outline your academic journey, mention the coursework that you've done. If you've done research, internships, projects that you have developed with your very own skills during your academic time, that is something you definitely would have to mention. Career goals. Explain long-term career aspirations and how this scholarship will help you reach that goal. Make sure you connect your goals to opportunities that the scholarship provides. We do not want to be vague. The scholarship committees are looking for straight to the point answers. So make sure to connect your goals and opportunities. Next, alignment with the scholarship. This showcases the alignment between your goals and the mission or values of the scholarship program. So if you see here, it says show how your values and goals align with the scholarship's mission. Because if a scholarship is committed to fostering innovation and it is targeting societal challenges, your SOP would have to be tailored in a specific way. Like, my passion for using technology to improve healthcare outcomes mirrors the scholarship's focus on advancing global solutions. It has to be in line with what the scholarship is offering, not away from it, not away. Finally, a conclusion. So after this, I will show you an SOP real quick. So conclusion, reiterate your enthusiasm for the opportunity. End on a positive note. That's also a good way to end it. You can say that you're excited about the possibility of being a recipient of this amazing scholarship, and that your background and your passion would help make a difference and would make you a strong candidate for this opportunity. So I'll stop this screenshot for a second. I'll just open. Okay, let me know if this is visible. Can I get a thumbs up if you can see this statement of purpose? I think I'm getting responses. Yes, all right. I'm seeing, okay, perfect. Great to know, great to see. Yes, kindly, yes, I will zoom in. Thank you. I will. So this is just to give you an understanding of how an SOP would look, depending on what scholarship you have applied for. So if you see this here, this is a whole SOP. And I will take you through each section by breaking it into parts so that you can easily understand. All right. So if you see here in our statement of purpose, like I had mentioned before, you have the introduction over here, and you have a conclusion, and the rest of it is part of the body. So you have an introduction, you have a body, and you have the conclusion. First of all, like I said in the introduction, start with an engaging opening. I've always been fascinated by the intricacies of law. So this is for Sigma Scholarship for CLAT aspirants. So those who are interested in law, who are going to be taking part in the CLAT examination. So this is a rough SOP. I've always been fascinated by the intricacies of law and its profound impact on society. Witnessing the power of legal advocacy and the potential to create positive change has ignited a deep-seated passion within me to pursue a career in law. So we have the introduction here, starting with an engaging opening. We are trying to grab the attention of the reader. Because you start off with a story, or if you start off with a quote, it immediately catches the attention of anyone who is reading. And next, if you move into the body, academic achievements and extracurricular involvement. Arushi, nice. Thank you. Right. So academic achievements, and over here, we're trying to showcase the academic journey. So as you can see, throughout my academic career, I've consistently demonstrated strong aptitude for English, history, political science, excelled in my studies consistently, achieving high grades, participating in class discussions and debates. So we are showing the academic journey, followed by, thank you, Nitesh. All right, followed by extracurricular involvement. If you've taken part in programs, if you've done research, if you've been part of outside events, which can highlight your SOP even further, do not hesitate to mention so. If you see here, it says, I've also had the chance to participate in Model United Nations to simulate international legal processes, and I've interned with law firms and NGOs where I have assisted in legal research, case preparation, and client interaction. So just remember, this is a mock SOP. So depending on what the scholarship is all about, you will have to give appropriate examples. Finally, if we move on next, we have our passion for law. I'm mentioning about my passion for CLAT. It stems from a desire to contribute to a more just, equitable society. I believe that CLAT examination provides a challenging yet rewarding pathway to pursue a legal career and gain admission to a prestigious national law university. So we show them our passion, which is very, very important part of our body. You show your career goals, show your passion, and then the need, financial need, and how the scholarship is going to actually impact you. So while I have a strong academic foundation and a deep-rooted passion for law, financial constraints have presented challenges in my pursuit, but the scholarship would significantly boost my ability to afford quality coaching. It would not only alleviate my financial stress, but also offer invaluable support and encouragement. So we have financial need mentioned, impact of the scholarship mentioned, finally followed by a conclusion. I am confident in my ability to excel in the CLAT examination and contribute meaningfully to the profession, and the scholarship would provide me with necessary resources. So like I said before, reiterate your enthusiasm, give them a small summary about how you could be their number one candidate for the scholarship that you're applying for. I'll now go back to my slide real quick. So highlighting your unique strengths and achievements. Okay, as we actually went through that SOP, we spoke about academics, internships, volunteer work, leadership roles that you might have taken up. If you see, for identifying key achievements, it can be your projects, like we saw before. Choose accomplishments that can actually improve your chances of getting into a specific scholarship. It has to be relevant to the area of the scholarship and what the scholarship program is dealing with. Next, personal strengths. Skills like leadership. Have you guided teams, projects? Have you guided big initiatives? It could be in your college days. If you're working, it could be during your work days. Next, resilience. It could be resilience. If you've had a challenge that you've had to overcome, how has it shaped your mindset and abilities? If you mention adaptability, show them different environments that you've been in, how you've been able to learn new skills. It could be, for example, as part of your education, you've had to go to different locations, different states, where language may have posed to be a problem, or speaking to other people, trying to understand the problems that they are going through may have proved to be a problem, but your adaptability, your skill of adapting to varying situations, changing environments, that is very important. That's a very good skill to have, actually. And if we move, you also have problem solving, which is an important skill that you can mention. So highlighting situations where you've identified challenges and developed creative solutions. And these personal strengths differ from person to person. Each of us has our own strengths. Each of us has our own weaknesses. And then you can tell your story. Focus on experiences that made a lasting impact in your life. And all this is different for everyone. So don't hesitate to tell your story. Focus on that experience that changed you, that molded you differently. Next, tailoring your SOP to specific scholarships. Like we said before, so in this session, as we are going through SOPs for different scholarship programs, first of all, we have to understand research is very important. Understand the mission, the values and criteria, and what the scholarship is looking for in a candidate. So before writing your SOP, when you're applying, start by understanding the mission. If you go through the website or if you go through whatever documents related to the scholarship are, you will be able to understand the mission, values, criteria. If there is a website, access the website. If there's promotional material about it, make sure you go through it. Past winners who have won the scholarship, you can even go through profiles of theirs so that you can understand what an organization values from a student or from a person who has won the scholarship. Customize your scholarship, that is very important. Tailor your SOP to show how you meet specific requirements. So this basically helps you show the selection committee that you've done your homework and that you genuinely believe in the mission, and by using keywords that resonate with the scholarship's goals will reinforce that you are aligned with the values. Incorporate language from the scholarship description, maybe even from the website. If you find a quote, you can have that mentioned. When describing your skills, it could be when describing your values or your goals. If they're following a specific language, if they're following a specific tone, that's something you can definitely follow. Keywords that resonate with the scholarship's goals. Yes, that's also important. It could be leadership, innovation, community impact, and a lot more. Common mistakes. Okay, so being too generic, avoid vague statements like, I want to make a difference. If you saw in the previous SOP example, we did not start that way, because in a lot of introductions, people tend to start that way. Like, I want to make a difference. It does not prove the reader with any, it doesn't provide the reader with any insight into your aspirations. So don't be generic, but you have to focus on what is important. Be specific about your goals. Instead of broad statements, you can mention that, for example, let's take, I want to make a difference in education. If I say that, doesn't that sound a little vague? What you can actually mention could be, I aim to improve access to quality education for underprivileged children by developing an innovative e-learning platform or solution that caters to diverse learning styles. So if you see that when compared to, I want to make a difference in education, there's a big difference. You're not being vague, you're not being generic. You're trying to pinpoint, you're trying to show them, this is your goal. You're trying to show the scholarship committee that this is your goal, this is what you want to achieve. Lack of focus. Okay. So trying to cover too many experiences. There's also something like too much content in an SOP. So to make sure that you don't lose a lot of your achievements or experiences that you mentioned, You can concentrate on just a few experiences that are most relevant. Like this is something that I've been reiterating. Concentrate on experiences that are most relevant to the goals, to your goals, and the scholarship. That is extremely important. Highlight these experiences. You can mention them slightly in detail, show your strengths, your motivation. Next, if we go, yes, ignoring the word limit. So there's always a word limit, and we should not keep an SOP that is too short. I spoke about SOPs being very long, but then being too short can also become a problem. Submitting a document that is too long can reflect a lack of attention. It might show the committee, okay, he or she has not really seen the requirements, so they might not give your SOP a second glance, might not. So, Shraddha Mishra. So, okay, so this is actually about SOPs. Are you talking about ignoring the word limit? Because for SOPs, each SOP has a word limit. So you will have to stick to certain guidelines. Don't submit a document that's too long. Try to adhere if it's a 1,000-word SOP. Okay, yes, got it. So if it's a 1,000-word SOP, aim for around 1,000. You can even aim for 800 words. That would not be too less. Okay, you can aim for 800 words. And if you're crossing 1,000, don't cross 1,200, 1,100. Try to focus within that number. It is always best to focus in that number. So depending on the word limits, stick to it. It is important. J. Okay, so 800,000. Good luck. Okay, tell you what. I see a few questions that are coming in, and I will take these questions towards the ending. All right. I'll just take all these questions towards the ending. I'll make sure to answer all of this. Okay, so overusing cliches, sir. Overusing cliches, yes. Avoiding phrases like ever since I was a child. So if you see there, in the SOP that we had taken a look at, there was no statement which said, ever since I was a child. Not that it's wrong, but it's cliche. People have seen it very often, so they might be like, oh, this is happening all over again. Try to be authentic in your writing because each one of us has a unique writing style. If you feel like you need help, you can always use softwares. You have Grammarly that can help you out as well. You have AI tools as well, which can make your language sound better. So avoid using cliched language, but try to sound unique. For instance, let me give you an example. If I take the phrase, I have always loved science. Instead, we can say my fascination with chemistry, it could be with physics, it could be with biology, has ignited when I conducted my first experiment in high school, or when you were in 11th or your 12th grade. Doing that experiment was what ignited that passion. You can always mention it that way, or you can always mention something different. And that is what inspired you to get into research. It would be related to the field that you are interested in. So being too generic, that's definitely a problem. Lacking focus, ignoring the word limit, overusing cliches. Now, we have a few extra tips that you can keep in mind. Proofread and edit Double check for grammar, spelling, and flow. So let's talk about grammar. Proofreading is very important, especially for an SOP. All of us make mistakes. You sit on an SOP, you sit on it for a long time. It takes time to prepare a good SOP. And we might skip on a few grammatical errors that pop in. So to double check, you can always read aloud what you have written. So when you hear what you've written, you'll be able to understand, okay, this does not sound right. I better change it. And should check for consistency. Ensure that your tone remains consistent. And if you want to double check for grammar, you can use Grammarly, which is free. You can even use AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini. They help you proofread. So proofreading is very important. Spelling and flow, yes. Spelling using tools like Grammarly, all that helps. And also the spelling for the name of the it could be even the name of the scholarship or the organization that's providing it. Make sure that's correct. That is very important. Look for clarity as you read. As you read, make sure that there is a proper flow. Like we discussed earlier, you have an introduction, you would have the body, and you would have a conclusion. It has to follow that pattern. It has to flow so that it does not look like every section that you have written is out of place. It should not look like a puzzle. It should look like a puzzle that is set, all in place. It should look good with a proper flow. As I've mentioned before, you can use spell check tools to catch errors and improve your clarity. If you check Grammarly, it helps you out a lot. If it gives you suggestions if it feels like you are trying to convey something, and you can actually do a better job at conveying it. Grammarly does that, AI tools do that. Second, you can seek feedback. It can be from your mentors, it can be from your peers, it can be friends, teachers to review your SOP. So, why seeking feedback is important is because when another person gives you an external perspective about an SOP, they will be able to give you areas of improvement where you can possibly do better for your SOP. They could even help you choose the right, you should choose your right reviewers, select those who understand the scholarship as well. That's very important. The field of study, because then their feedback can actually help you out to make your SOP more constructive, much better. Ask questions. Ask specific questions. When sharing your SOP, you can ask for feedback on specific areas. Is it clear? Do you feel like there is impact? Do you feel like it is in alignment with the scholarship's goals? Because another person, a mentor or a teacher, can actually help you get your SOP much more clear and to the point. And of course, once they do come back with feedback, take it with an open mind. Consider all the suggestions very carefully, because a lot of it might end up being very useful and might just be those tips that you need to get that scholarship. And next, staying authentic. Let your personality and passion come through in your writing. Use your voice. You can share personal anecdotes. Your passion should be clear and it should easily come through. So avoid trying to, if you search up online, you would actually see a lot of SOP formats as well. You can obviously stick to a format, but your story, your personality should be seen in an SOP. So if it seems natural to you, write in that way. Write in a way that it's natural, it's flowing out from you. And of course, once you do that, seek feedback. That's very important. Sharing personal anecdotes, sharing your experiences, that really helps you stay authentic. And expressing your passion. Don't hesitate to show your enthusiasm for that particular field. It could even be the organization that has gotten you interested to be part of this scholarship. So it all helps you. It helps you, the reader gets to resonate, they get to identify, and they get to be with you through that journey that you take them, through the experience that you take them, making your application much more compelling. So that's about it for the session. If you have any questions, I did see a question that have popped up. So if you do have any questions, you can drop them in the chat box, or you could, if we have the opportunity to unmute, you can unmute and you can ask me the question that you've got.
Thank you so much, Jahan, for this impactful and wonderful session that you just hosted. I must say it was really very informative, and the kind of chat box full we saw a few minutes back, I'm sure all the students also really enjoyed the whole session. It must have been very informative for all of them. So everyone, I am posting a link on the chat box, requesting all of you to please fill that up. It's a feedback form for us. You can give us an idea of how you find the session. If there are any questions you have, then you can post that as well. And any other information that you would like to share, you can just simply post it here in this particular Google form. I have added this in the chat box. You can access it from there. You can just post in your feedback any issues that you had, any questions that you might have missed, and you can just let us know through this particular form. Jahan, Shobraj here we have. He's asking, how can I take the future help?
How can I take future help? Okay. And who asked this question?
Yeah, sir, Sobraj.
Hi, Shobraj. Yes, tell me, you were asking for future help. I just wanted you to be a little specific so I can understand better.
No, in this context, I am saying, let's suppose that I have to write an SOP in the future, and I will might face some difficulties. So at that point, how can I take your help? And some other options that.
Okay, were you asking about our help, as in the Scholars Box team's help?
Yeah.
The Scholars Box team's help in this. Arushi, would you want to answer that?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Shobraj, Arushi this side. The question that I understand from what you have mentioned is that you want to know, like, once you have submitted your scholarship, what is the next process? Is that what you're asking?
No, ma'am. I am asking, in order to write an SOP,
Yeah.
it might have been that I face some difficulties to certain point.
Okay.
So at that point, I will need some help. So at
You can
that
speak in
moment,
Hindi also, whichever language is comfortable with you. Hindi and English both will be understandable by us.
हाँ, मैं ये कह रहा था कि मैं फ्यूचर में यदि किसी एसओपी लिखता हूँ, मतलब मुझे ज़रूरत पड़ेगी डेफिनेटली, तो उस समय यदि हम कोई प्रॉब्लम फेस करते हैं, तो एट दैट मोमेंट हाउ कैन आई टेक द हेल्प फ्रॉम योर साइड?
श्योर। स्कॉलर्स बॉक्स की अगर वेबसाइट आपने चेक करी होगी तो बेसिकली हम लोग स्कॉलरशिप्स प्रोवाइड करते हैं, राइट? आई होप आपको ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग होगी। वहाँ पे मल्टीपल स्कॉलरशिप्स हैं जो आप देख रहे हैं। अगर आप किसी स्कॉलरशिप में अप्लाई कर रहे हैं और वहाँ पे अगर आपको एसओपी सबमिट करना है और आपको एसओपी में कोई हेल्प चाहिए, सो आई एम श्योर जो मिस्टर जोहान ने अभी आपको वेबिनार दिया उससे आपको काफ़ी अंडरस्टैंडिंग मिली होगी। ऑल्सो अगर आपको कोई स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन है इन टर्म्स ऑफ कि मुझे इस पर्टिकुलर सेगमेंट में क्या लिखना है, तो आप हमको मेल भी कर सकते हैं। तो हमारी जो टीम है बैकएंड वाली वो आपका डेफिनेटली क्वेश्चन को रिजॉल्व करेगी एंड दे विल राइट बैक टू यू।
ओके ओके,
तो आप कॉल भी कर सकते हैं, मैसेज भी कर सकते हैं, मेल भी कर सकते हैं, वो एक हमारा कांटेक्ट हमेशा के लिए ओपन रहेगा।
ओके ओके, थैंक यू मैम।
वेलकम।
All right. So,
सर आई ऑल्सो हैव अ क्वेश्चन कि कोई पूछ रहा है, जोहान, he is asking कि usually ideally what is the number of words that should be written in the scholarship in the SOP?
in the SOP, okay. So, as we had just spoken before, each SOP has its own word limit. So, say for example, if it's 800 words, if it's 600. So just keep this in mind. If you have anything close to anything more than 500, and less than 700, if the word limit is 600. So I'm just giving you the example with, like the example we took in the session. If it's 1,000 words, it can be an 800 to 900. It can even go to 1,100. 1,200 is asking for a little more, but within the hundreds range. If it's oh, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So yeah, that's what I was talking about. So if it's within the hundreds of 200 range, more or less, if it's about 500, you can stick to 400 or 600. If it's 1,000, you can stick to 800 to 900 on the low end, and maybe 1,100 to 1,200. If you can reach the perfect word limit very close to 1,000 or slightly over, that's perfect.
Okay, I hope this particular answer helped you. Another question that we have is कि तो ये बोल रहे हैं कि should we submit the SOP in Word format or any other written format, handwritten format or Word format, which is the ideal format?
Normally, it's a Word format or a PDF, unless they really ask to give it a specific way. It's normally in a Word format, which would be a .doc. Word format or a PDF would work just fine.
Okay. Another question we have here, someone is asking कि usually for Indian scholarships, Indian SOPs is required in a very different way. And for international scholarships, ideally, what do they expect? So they can frame the scholarship SOP accordingly.
Okay, you are talking about, could you repeat that question real quick?
So, Mr. Ajay, he's asking that for Indian scholarship, they have an idea ki how to frame the SOP, but for international scholarship, the SOP that student frames, should the format be same or will it be different? Does the international scholarships expect a different format?
So SOPs generally would not require, they do not have a different format per se, but you might want to talk about different aspects, like in your introduction and conclusion may be the same, but the body that you create, your academic backgrounds, interests, it could be your career goals, alignment with the scholarship, all that would generally change with respect to any scholarship that you actually apply for. So ideally, there is a specific way to stick to a SOP. There is a format which follows the introduction, body, and conclusion, unless the scholarship committee has asked you to provide an SOP in another specific format. But otherwise, this similar format should work just fine.
Okay, Sir Jay is asking that if they have submitted the SOP and there is another segment that they have to attend, say, for example, a psychometric assessment. Is there a possibility, like, should they be correcting their SOP, or is it okay if they have already submitted their SOP?
Okay. I think with this, you might want to reach out to the team who is actually doing the scholarship if you feel like there is a change that needs to be done in your SOP. I think it would be best that you write to the team who is taking care of this scholarship. Let them know that there is a change that you would like to make, or you would want to send an updated version of your SOP. That would probably be ideal.
Another question that we have from the attendees is, after writing the SOP, whom can we seek out to get it reviewed from internally?
Who can we seek to
Who
get?
can we seek out to review our SOP? Once we have drafted an SOP, from whom can we take help?
You have, if you have mentors, if you have your teachers, your fellow colleagues, or professors from college, teachers from school, they can actually help you out to review your SOPs. Ideally, them.
Okay. Any other questions that you would like to address? If there are any questions, any further queries in regards with how to frame the SOP, or any confusion that you have in regards with that, you can simply drop into the chat box.
So I've seen, okay, whether SOP, that's fine. Okay, I see, but is there any examination for scholarship? Is something that I see.
Any questions in relation with specific to SOP, how we can frame it, or any question in regards with the current webinar that we just conducted? Okay, so I just got a question from one of the joinees. They are asking that should the SOP be more professional, or can we also add in personal information?
So personal information would have to be somewhat kept to a minimum, but you can mention your personal experiences. That is something that can be mentioned, because as you saw in the SOP draft earlier, there was not really a lot of personal information per se mentioned. It was just talking about why I was interested, or why the student was interested to be involved with that scholarship. Spoke about the journey, academic journey, career goals, all that, and conclusion as to why. So about personal information, you could actually keep it to a minimum.
Okay. Another question, someone is asking that should they also be adding in their future goals and aspirations, or should it only be about personal things and current things that are happening in terms of their academic skills and all?
You could definitely add in your future goals, because that shows your alignment with the scholarship, and it gets the scholarship committee to get to know whether you are a good fit. So definitely future goals are a must. Please do add them.
Okay, another question that we have is, should they be submitting their SOPs in PDF format or Word format?
Okay, so, okay, like I mentioned before, it can be either a Word format or PDF, unless the scholarship, unless they have requested for a specific format. If they say Word format, stick to Word. It is .doc, .docx mostly. If it is a PDF, if they've asked for PDF specifically, you can send a PDF. If not, either of these work just fine.
Okay. Someone is asking that, is it okay if they write their SOP in Hindi?
SOP in Hindi. Okay, ideally, I guess if the scholarship committee or the scholarship accepts, so what you can do is, if you have this doubt, you can check with the organization, with the team who is actually doing the scholarship, check with them first, because some of them might allow, but as to my knowledge, most are done in English, but you can always check with the team if they allow for a different language.
Okay. Miss Nirima is asking that is it okay if they have mentioned their weaknesses also in their SOP? They have already and they have added a few of their weaknesses also.
Already submitted. And you've mentioned your weaknesses in the SOP. Not that it's wrong, but we would rather not want to mention. But it's not wrong to mention your weaknesses. Sometimes it might help people understand you better. It might keep it much more unique and personal, and the scholarship committee would be able to understand your journey differently. So I wouldn't say it's a definite no, but it would be better to skip it. Unless maybe you are working on that weakness, or through that weakness you've been able to improve, or you've been able to get out of how do I say it? That you've been able to use that weakness for your benefit in some way. If that's possible, then it would help.
Okay, any other questions that you have in regards with SOPs, forming and drafting, any mistakes that you would like to get resolved here? Okay, I think we have a little of time constraints. Jahan, thank you so much for having and giving this such an impactful session right now. I'm sure most of the students have a lot of myths in regards with, and a lot of queries and confusion regards with how they should be framing the SOPs, and this session must have really helped them. A few other questions that are in regards with psychometric assessment that they have given. So there are multiple scholarships found on the platform. A few of the psychometric scholarships have psychometric assessment also as part of their process. If that is there, then requesting every one of you to please go and submit the psychometric assessment. A few of the students are confused if after filling in their psychometric assessment and after submitting the SOP, what is the next round? So all of you will be getting, who have submitted and applied for any particular scholarship, you will be getting an email in regards with what the next step will be. Also, you can check in your dashboard for any update, any notification, any event that might come up in future. You will get an idea if you look into your dashboard, go into your dashboard, click on your submitted scholarship wala section, and then you will get an idea if what other, if there is any particular other segment that you have to cover after filling in your application form. Any other question that you might have, you can directly reach out to us via mail, or requesting every one of you to please fill in this Google form. It has a set of questions. It's very small. It will give us a very detailed idea of how you want to go forward next. No, Jay. So Jay, psychometric assessments usually vary from what kind of scholarship you have applied for, as each scholarship demands for different criteria and different understanding that they want to gain from the psychometric assessment. So some of the psychometric assessment have subject-related questions and some do not. But I think most of the majority of the psychometric assessment do cover a section wherein the subject-related questions appear. So that will be part of it. A few general basic subject-related questions can come in the psychometric assessment. Any other query that anyone have in regards with the psychometric assessment, they can directly reach out to our team. They will be able to rectify all your and answer to all your questions. Thank you so much once again for being part of this session. Me and Jahan, we are sure that this must have been really very helpful to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining, everyone. Enjoy your weekend.